The student who never left asterisk. I grew up in a small town where everyone knew everyone else's business. There wasn't much to do after school except hang out at the park or explore old buildings. One of those buildings was Hawthorne Elementary School. The school had been abandoned for almost 15 years after a fire damaged part of the structure. No one bothered to repair it because a newer school had already been built across town. The building sat behind a rusted chain-link fence, surrounded by weeds and dying trees. Every kid in town knew about it, and every kid knew the rumors. According to local stories, a student had died there decades ago. Some people claimed he got trapped inside during a fire. Others said he disappeared and was never found. Nobody could agree on the details, but everyone agreed on one thing. The old classrooms were haunted. Of course, I didn't believe any of it. I was 17 when my friends dared me to spend an hour inside the building. It was a Friday night in October. The air felt cold and damp as we approached the fence. My friends stopped outside. I climbed through a hole in the chain-link fence and crossed the overgrown playground alone. Broken swings creaked softly in the wind. The school stood in complete darkness. Most of the windows were shattered. The front doors were boarded up, but I already knew another way in. A side entrance near the gym had been left partially open. I squeezed through the gap and stepped inside. The smell hit me. Immediately. Dust. Mold. Rotting wood. The beam from my flashlight cut through the darkness. The hallway stretched ahead like a tunnel. Rows of lockers lined both sides. Many hung open. Some had been ripped from the walls. I checked my phone. 11:02 p.m. 1 hour. That was all I needed. I walked deeper into the building. Every sound seemed unnaturally loud. My footsteps echoed. Water dripped somewhere in the distance. The old fluorescent lights hung from the ceiling like skeletons. I eventually reached a classroom near the back of the building. The number on the door read 214. Something about the room felt strangely preserved compared to the rest of the school. Most classrooms had been destroyed by vandals. This one hadn't. Student desks still sat in neat rows. A chalkboard covered the front wall. Faded math problems remained visible. I entered and sat at a desk. To pass the time, I started recording a video on my phone. I joked about ghosts, made fun of the local legends. For nearly 20 minutes, nothing happened. Then I heard a chair move. It sounded like metal scraping across the floor. I froze. The sound came from somewhere behind me. Slowly, I turned around. Every desk looked exactly as it had before. Empty. Silent. I told myself it was the building settling. Old structures make noises. That's normal. I tried to relax. A few minutes later, it happened again. A rape. This time it was louder. Much closer. I quickly aimed my flashlight toward the back of the room. Nothing. But one chair seemed slightly out of place. I couldn't be sure. Maybe I was imagining it. My heart was beating faster now. I checked the time. 11:31 p.m. Half an hour left. I considered leaving, but my pride wouldn't allow it. Then I noticed something strange. One of the desks near the window wasn't empty anymore. At first, I thought it was a shadow, a trick of the light. But as I stared, I realized someone appeared to be sitting there. A small figure, head lowered, motionless. I raised my flashlight. The desk was empty, the figure vanished instantly. A chill ran through my body. I stood up. That's when I heard footsteps in the hallway, soft, slow, walking past the classroom. Rushed toward the doorway and looked outside. The hallway was empty, no movement, no sound, just darkness. I was about to return to my desk when I heard a voice, a child's voice, very faint, behind me. "Teacher." I spun around. The classroom was empty, but the chalkboard had changed. I know how crazy that sounds. I know what I saw. Words now appeared on the board, written in fresh white chalk, 3 simple words. "Help me find." My stomach dropped. The message hadn't been there before. I was absolutely certain. Fear finally overpowered curiosity. I grabbed my flashlight and headed for the exit. As I reached the hallway, I heard dozens of footsteps. Not one person, many, children. Running, laughing, talking, the sounds echoed through the building. Yet every hallway remained completely empty. The noises seemed to come from all directions at once. I began walking faster. The sounds followed me, closer, Then the school bell rang. A loud, sharp bell. The same kind used to signal the end of class. The noise exploded throughout the building. I nearly jumped out of my skin, and suddenly, every classroom door slammed shut. Bang. The entire hallway shook. I started running. I didn't care about the dare anymore. I just wanted out. As I passed classroom 214, I glanced through the small window in the door, and that's when I saw him. A boy, around 10 years old, standing inside the classroom. Pale skin, dark hair, wearing an old-fashioned school uniform. He wasn't looking at me, he was staring at the chalkboard. The same message remained written there, help. Let me find, had chimed. Then the boy slowly turned his head. His eyes were completely black. I ran. I don't remember reaching the exit. I don't remember crossing the playground. The next thing I knew, I was outside the fence with my friends. They immediately noticed something was wrong. Apparently, I looked terrified. I told them everything. They laughed at first, until I showed them the video. Most of the recording looked normal, but near the end, there was something none of us could explain. For a single frame, just before I stopped recording, a child could be seen sitting in the back corner of the classroom, watching me. The school was demolished 6 months later, but even today, I refuse to watch that video again, because every time I paused on that frame, I noticed something new. The boy seemed a little closer each time. In 2018, I worked as a security guard for a company that monitored abandoned properties. Most assignments were boring. You walked around, checked doors, made sure nobody broke in. Easy money. One night, however, I was assigned to an abandoned high school on the outskirts of the city. The building had been closed for nearly 20 years. Officials planned to demolish it, but legal issues delayed the process. Until then, security teams were hired to keep trespassers away. I arrived just before sunset. The school looked enormous. 3 floors. Hundreds of windows. Most broken. Graffiti covered the exterior walls. The place felt dead. My supervisor gave me one instruction before leaving. Stay away from classroom 9. I laughed. Why? He shrugged. Just trust me. Then he drove away. At the time, I assumed he was joking. I spent the first few hours performing routine patrols. Everything seemed normal. The building was empty. No signs of intruders. No problems. Around midnight, I entered the east wing of the second floor. That's when I noticed a classroom door standing open. A metal plaque beside it read, Classroom 9. I remembered my supervisor's warning. Curiosity immediately took over. I stepped inside. The room looked ordinary. Old desks, broken cabinets. Dust everywhere. Nothing unusual. I spent maybe 30 seconds there before leaving. As I walked away, I heard a loud bang behind me. The classroom door had slammed shut. I returned and reopened it. Probably a draft. No big deal. The rest of the night passed quietly. At 3:17 a.m., things changed. I was reviewing camera feeds in the security office when one monitor caught my attention. The camera overlooking Classroom 9 showed movement. A figure had crossed the hallway. I zoomed in. The hallway was empty. No one there. Rewound the footage. The figure appeared again. Tall. Thin. Almost human. But distorted somehow. The image quality made it impossible to see clearly. Assuming someone had entered the building, I grabbed my flashlight and headed upstairs. The hallway outside Classroom 9 was empty. I checked every nearby room. Nothing. Then I noticed the classroom door was open again. I could have sworn I closed it earlier. The room looked darker than before. The flashlight beam barely penetrated the shadows. I stepped inside. Immediately, I felt something was wrong. The air felt colder. Heavy. Like entering a freezer. My radio suddenly filled with static. A harsh crackling noise erupted from the speaker. Then a voice emerged. Very quietly. Don't stay. I stared at the radio. The message repeated. Don't stay. Then the signal died. Every hair on my arms stood up. I decided to leave. As I turned toward the door, I noticed someone sitting at a desk in the back row. A person, perfectly still, facing away from me. I hadn't seen them enter. I hadn't heard any footsteps. They were simply there. Sitting. Waiting. I called out. No response. I moved closer. The figure remained motionless. When I was about 10 feet away, it slowly stood. Without turning around. Its movements looked unnatural, jerky, like a puppet controlled by invisible strings. Then it walked toward the far corner of the room and disappeared. Not behind something, not through a door. It simply vanished. I left immediately. The moment I exited Classroom 9, the hallway lights flickered on by themselves. For the rest of the shift, I stayed far away from that section of the building. At sunrise, my supervisor returned. When I told him what happened, he became unusually quiet. Then he explained why everyone avoided Classroom 9 years earlier. Before the school closed, a teacher reportedly suffered a mental breakdown inside that room. Students claimed she spent hours talking to someone who wasn't there. Eventually she disappeared. No trace was ever found. Afterward, strange incidents became common. Voices, shadows, unexplained sightings. The administration covered everything up. At least, according to local rumors. I don't know whether those stories are true, but I do know one thing. The camera footage from that night still exists. And every time the figure appears on screen, it gets closer to the camera than it was before. In the summer of 2026, I worked for a demolition company that specialized in removing old buildings, factories, warehouses, abandoned apartments. If it was scheduled to come down, we handled it. Most jobs were straightforward. You inspected the structure, cleared out anything dangerous, and then the heavy machinery moved in. One particular assignment, however, still bothers me years later. The building was called Blackwood Middle School. Located miles away from the nearest town, the school had been abandoned since the late 1990s. Official reports claimed declining enrollment forced its closure. But local residents told a different story. According to them, strange incidents began occurring during the school's final years. Students reported hearing voices in empty classrooms. Teachers claimed objects moved on their own. Several children allegedly transferred after experiencing terrifying encounters. Most people dismissed the stories as rumors. Still, the building developed a reputation. Nobody wanted to go near it. When our company won the demolition contract, I laughed at the ghost stories. Old buildings attract legends. That's just how people are. I expected another routine job. I was wrong. Our crew arrived on a cloudy Monday morning. The school looked enormous. 3 stories tall. Long brick hallways. Hundreds of classrooms. Years of neglect had left the structure in terrible condition. Broken windows covered every side. Vines climbed the exterior walls. Nature was slowly reclaiming the property. Before demolition could begin, our team needed to inspect each room. We were checking for hazardous materials, structural weaknesses, and anything valuable that might remain inside. I was assigned to the second floor. The first few hours were uneventful. Most classrooms were empty. Dust covered everything. Old textbooks remained scattered across floors. Desks lay overturned. Nothing unusual. Then I reached room 27. The classroom door was closed. Unlike every other room I'd inspected, this one seemed untouched. The paint wasn't peeling. The windows weren't broken. Even the brass number on the door appeared polished. It looked completely out of place. Curious, I pushed the door open. The room was spotless. Not clean for an abandoned building. Clean. As if someone had been maintaining it for years. Desks stood perfectly aligned. The chalkboard looked freshly erased. Not a single layer of dust covered any surface. The sight immediately made me uncomfortable. I checked every corner. Nobody was there. No signs of recent activity. No explanation, yet somehow the room looked occupied. Then I noticed something sitting on the teacher's desk. An attendance sheet. The paper looked new. I picked it up. At first glance, everything appeared normal. Rows of student names. Dates. Attendance marks. Then I looked closer. Every date on the sheet belonged to the current month. June 22/1. My stomach tightened. That made no sense. The school had been abandoned for over 20 years. Who had been taking attendance? I showed the paper to another worker named Carlos. He laughed and assumed someone was playing a prank. We searched the room together. Nothing. No hidden entrances. No signs of squatters. No evidence anyone had been there recently. Eventually, we returned to work. But the attendance sheet stayed in my mind. That evening, I brought it home. I wanted to show my wife. As I reviewed the names, I noticed something strange. One name appeared at the bottom of the list, different from the others. The handwriting looked darker, more aggressive. almost carved into the paper. The name read Evelyn Harper. Beside it was a note, absent, just one word, nothing else. I didn't think much of it, at least not until the following morning. When I arrived at the site, Carlos was already waiting. He looked pale, exhausted, like he hadn't slept. Before I could ask what was wrong, he spoke. "You took that attendance sheet home, right?" I nodded. His expression immediately darkened. Then he told me something I wish I'd never heard. Around 2 o'clock that morning, he received a phone call. The caller ID showed an unknown number. When he answered, nobody spoke. Instead, he heard children reciting names, one after another, like attendance being taken in a classroom. The voice would read a name. Several children's voices would respond. Present, another name. Present, another, present. The process continued for nearly a minute. Then the final name was called Evelyn Harper. Silence followed. No response. Just static. Then the call ended. Neither of us laughed. Neither of us found it funny, because that exact name appeared on the attendance sheet. Later that afternoon, we returned to room 27. The attendance sheet remained locked inside my truck. I wanted answers. As soon as we entered the classroom, something felt different. The room was colder, much colder. The temperature seemed impossible compared to the rest of the building. Carlos immediately noticed it. 2. Then we heard a noise. A chair scraping across the floor. We both turned. One desk had moved. Only a few inches, but enough for us to notice. We stood frozen. Neither of us spoke. The room remained silent. Finally, Carlos muttered something about faulty flooring. An excuse neither of us believed. Then we left. Over the next 3 days, strange events escalated. Workers reported hearing children laughing inside empty hallways. Tools disappeared and later reappeared in locked rooms. Several crew members claimed they saw figures watching from classroom windows. Management blamed stress. Heat exhaustion. Overactive imaginations. But morale deteriorated quickly. People were nervous. Then Thursday arrived, and everything changed. That morning, one of our workers failed to report for duty. His name was Marcus. Reliable guy. Never missed work. Nobody could reach him. His phone went straight to voicemail. Concerned, our supervisor contacted local authorities. By afternoon, police located him. The news spread through the crew immediately. Marcus had been found sitting inside Blackwood Middle School. In room 27, alone. The building had been locked overnight, but no one understood how he entered. What disturbed officers most was where they found him. Marcus sat at a student desk, hands folded neatly, staring toward the chalkboard. He was alive, but completely unresponsive. When questioned, he repeated the same sentence over and over. "They forgot to mark me present." Nothing else. Just that. And again. Marcus never returned to work. At this point, several employees quit. Demolition schedules fell behind. Management grew frustrated. They wanted the project completed. No excuses. No delays. The building was coming down. End of story. At least that's what they thought. The following Monday, demolition finally began. Excavators arrived. Equipment surrounded the property. By noon, large portions of the first floor had already been destroyed. Everything proceeded normally. Until workers reached the section containing room 27. One excavator operator attempted to remove the exterior wall. His machine stalled. Twice. Maintenance. Crews checked the engine. Nothing wrong. They restarted it. The machine functioned perfectly. Until the bucket touched the classroom again. Then it died. Several workers witnessed it. Nobody could explain it. Eventually another machine was brought in. Same result. The equipment repeatedly failed whenever operators targeted that specific section of the building. It was bizarre. But eventually, after multiple attempts, part of the wall collapsed. And that's when we found something hidden inside, behind the classroom. Wall was a small sealed space. Almost like a forgotten storage chamber. No doors. No windows. No obvious way inside. The discovery shocked everyone. Construction records showed no such room. It shouldn't have existed. Workers carefully cleared debris. Then someone called for help. I still remember the fear in his voice. The hidden chamber contained desks. Small desks, children's desks, arranged in rows, facing a blackboard. And sitting on every desk was an attendance sheet. Hundreds of them, perfectly preserved. Despite being sealed inside a wall for decades. The papers covered dates spanning years. Thousands of names, thousands of attendance records. The air inside that chamber felt freezing. Several workers refused to enter. I was one of the few who did. Looking back, I wish I hadn't, because among those papers, we found a photograph, a black and white class photo. The image showed students standing inside a classroom. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Then I recognized one face. Marcus, the missing worker. My co-worker. Standing among the children. Smiling. The photo was clearly decades old, long before Marcus was born. Yet there he was. Impossible. Unmistakable. The discovery halted demolition immediately. Investigators arrived. Historians examined documents. Experts studied the hidden chamber. No one offered satisfying explanations. The project was suspended indefinitely. For safety reasons, our crew was reassigned elsewhere. I thought the nightmare was finally over, but it wasn't. Not yet. 2 weeks later, I remembered the attendance sheet still sitting inside a drawer at home. I planned to throw it away. Instead, I opened it one last time. Every name remained exactly as before, except one dot at the very bottom, beneath Evelyn Harper. A new name had appeared, written in dark ink. Fresh. Recent. As if someone had added it moments earlier. The name was mine. Beside it was a single mark. Absent. I burned the attendance sheet that night. Every page, every scrap, the ashes blew away in the wind. I never returned to Blackwood Middle School. I never searched for answers. Some mysteries don't want to be solved, but one detail still haunts me. Months after the demolition project ended, I received an envelope with no return address. Inside was a photocopy of a class photograph. The same photograph found in the hidden chamber. Only this version was different, because standing among the students. Was me. Conclusion: abandoned schools are unsettling enough on their own. Empty hallways, silent classrooms, forgotten memories trapped within crumbling walls.